Obituary of Yasmin Jessie Duarte, 19th September 1953 to 17th July 2022. Yasmin Duarte, lovingly known as Comrade Jessie, was born in the township of New Clare, Johannesburg, to Ibrahim and Julie Dangor. She was the fifth born of the 9 siblings and the only daughter. She completed high school at Coronationville High. After school, she joined an exchange program to the United States, living with an American family with whom she remained in touch till the end of her life. Jessie grew up in a family that valued ideas and books, as well as rigorous debate and argument. This laid the foundation for her activism. She was also an avid art collector and music lover. In the 1970s, influenced by her experience, travels, and other activists that came into contact with, she became involved in the Black consciousness movement. By 1979, she already played a leading role in the women's movement under the mentorship of Mum Albertina Sisulu. In 1981, she was elected as the Secretary of Federation of Transvaal Women. As a leader of the FEDRA, Comrade Jessie played a critical role in the rebuilding of South African women's movement, traveling across the country to help form the structures in the then Northern, Eastern and Western Transvaal, Eastern Cape and Border, and Western Cape and Natal. Working together with Master Sulu, she was also the contact person for links between the internal and external women's movement, as well as the South African Communist Party through Ray Alexander. At the same time, she was mother to 2 young children, Yusha, born in 1975, and Zoe, born in 1977, whilst also taking care of her younger siblings, Abbas and Zane Dangor. The women's movement played an important role in the formation of the UDF in 1983. Along with the trade union, civic and youth and student movements. And throughout the 1980s, Comrade Jessie was an activist in all campaigns of the UDF, including going door to door during the tri-cameral parliament campaign. During the early 1980s, she worked with Reverend Bayers Norwood to set up and administer a scholarship fund to educate and skill ANC and UDF activists, developing a progressive corps of public servants. She was detained without trial in 1988, released and placed under restriction orders until the state of emergency was lifted. With the formation of Organs of People's Power in the 1980s, she played a role in organizing underground operations through identification of safe houses, women who acted as couriers, and the distribution of the recipe book for military operations. Like many activists of the time, Jessie and her family were harassed by regime and isolated in her community, yet she remained steadfast. According to the family, the Dangors had greater access to books than food, and Comrade Jessie saw books as essential to life. This nurtured her enduring love for literature, writing, and storytelling. She worked at progressive publisher Raven Press, established in 1972, and encouraged authors like Jacina Hlopho and Bobby Schneider. Comrade Jessie was one of the founders of the Congress of South African Writers, launched in July 1978 to mobilize progressive writers and nurture the alternative press. Her activism and commitment to the working class was another enduring commitment. As COSATU was being formed, she played a role in mobilizing domestic workers and was part of the strike committee for the 1987 National Union of Mine Workers strike. After the unbanning of the ANC in 1990, she served on the interim leadership corps of the then Pretoria Witwatersrand region, now Gauteng, to rebuild the ANC. She was also instrumental in the re-establishment of the SACP. She was tasked with setting up the offices of Comrades Nelson Mandela and Walter Sisulu, and served as Comrade Mandela's special assistant from 1990 to 1994. In the heat of the apartheid-sponsored violence during the early 1990s, she worked closely with Comrade Ronnie Casseroles in the East Rand and West Rand to assist the establishment of self-defense units, and went on to be a part of the National Peace Accord structures. During the negotiations leading to democracy in South Africa, from 1991 to 1994, she was a member of the Regional Executive Committee for the PWV region. Comrade Jessie was amongst the pioneering members of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature and served in the provincial cabinet as the first MEC for Community Safety and Security in Gauteng, pioneering the concept of community policing, focusing on domestic violence and social crime prevention. As MEC for Community Safety and Security, she participated in the Johannesburg Pride marches and remained a companion for LGBTQI+ rights. She was also a firm advocate for the decriminalization of sex work. These issues were all part of her fight to protect the rights and indigeneity of all vulnerable and exploited groups. From 1999 to 2003, she served as South Africa's High Commissioner to Mozambique. A critical period of strengthened relations between the two countries. She also served in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation as the Deputy Director-General for Africa. As the newly formed African Union started to take shape, with South Africa playing a leading role, Comrade Jessie Duarte was elected to the National Executive Committee of the ANC in 1997 at the 50th National Conference in Mafeking. She also served as the international spokesperson for the ANEC and was elected Deputy Secretary-General of the ANC in 2012 at the 53rd National Conference, re-elected at the next conference, and a position she held until her passing on 17th July 2022. Comrade Jessie was an internationalist, a fighter for the rights of oppressed peoples everywhere, especially women and children. Her commitment to the cause of the people of Palestine, Western Sahara, and against the Cuban blockade remained unwavering. During her final days, in the midst of her struggle with cancer, she initiated a book project to tell the story of the rebuilding of women's movement during the 1980s. Comrade Jessie will be remembered as a fierce and unapologetic proponent of the non-racialism, an outspoken fighter for the rights of women, and a loving matriarch of the Dangor, Duarte, and Whitley families. She is survived by her children, Yusha and Zoe, grandchildren Kirstin, Monique, Mu'in, and Amira, and remaining siblings Mohammed, Musa, Abbas, and Zane. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I now call upon Mr. Zane Dangor to pay a tribute on behalf of the family?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mohammed, Mr. President, Premier, Ministers, Ambassadors, and family and friends and Jessie's comrades. Kirstin and Monique gave a really good, detailed outline of Jessie's life, and other people will be talking about her life as an activist, a community builder, a diplomat, and political leader. I want to reflect on Jessie, the mother, grandmother, sister, and aunt. I will reflect on some abstracts from Zoe, her daughter. Zoe wrote a letter to Jessie, her mom, in the last few weeks of Jessie's life. And I use Zoe's letter as it speaks to the thoughts and feelings of all of us. Zoe wrote the following in a very long letter, and I'll only be using some excerpts. Mom, I've been at your side, watched you, helped you day and night, your energy decreasing. You lost weight and you wanted space so that we don't see the pain you are in. I could also see, Mom, how little had changed. Your smile is still the same, still warm. Your laugh never changed throughout. This passage from Zoe's letter epitomizes the Jessie we know. This is not always the same Jessie that is sometimes portrayed in the media. What Zoe is describing is the Jessie that always put the needs of others first. At a time when she was experiencing the most unimaginable pain, she wanted to shield us from witnessing that pain, as she knew that it would cause us distress. This selfless nature of embracing of the other was part of Jessie's DNA. Learning from our mom, Julie, she sacrificed her own comfort and well-being to take care of others. My brother Abbas, John Duarte's brother Emmanuel, my brother Musa as well at some stage, and myself all know this too well. Jessie and John took us into their homes at a time when they had very little, but they shared that little with us as we had nowhere else to go. This nurturing and looking after the well-being of others extended to non-family members too. Strangers in the need of shelter knew that they could come to her house, whether it be in Nuclear, Reveille, or Observatory, and they knew that they would find a warm bed, food, and comfort, irrespective of how small the space was. In Nuclear and Reveille, the houses were small, but she would tell us to shift up whenever people were in need of shelter and care. Patrick Flask was one of those, and he reminded us how Abbas and I had to shift up for him, and we didn't have a single bed to share between us, but he stayed with us for a very long time, and Yusha ended up on the floor. Yeah. So, Jessie's houses therefore became known as the shift-up houses. When I asked the son, Yusha, what you would like to say to his mom now, if he had the chance, he said, it would be 2 words only. Thank you. That expression of gratitude comes from all of us in the family. as all of us at some time or the other were blessed by her kindness and caring nature. Yusha, we all join you in saying, thank you, Jessie. Ursula, my wife, sums up Jessie's our gratitude towards Jessie when she says, in her note when I asked what she would like to say, she said, my dearest Jessie, I've said this to you before and I'll say it again. Thank you for all that you have meant to me, Zane, and the grandkids. You have always been in our corner, guiding us and showing us what it means to have compassion, kindness, and integrity. So Jessie, as a family, we celebrate your life. We are proud that you, our mother, our sister, grandmother, and aunt, we are proud of your contributions to this country and to our family. Saying that you were among the best of us is not just a slogan, because we have experienced your generosity and support. And indeed, for us, you were the best. I will conclude by again referencing Zoe's letter to Jessie. Zoe wrote the following: Mom, when the doctors told us that it's not looking good and you only have weeks or a few months to live, then, Mom, it was days, and time flashed before my eyes. We need more time, Mom. Zoe also then reflected on Jessie's pain in those last few weeks when she wrote, Mom, your body is slowing down. I ask God for peace, the peace of knowing that you will rest in peace. These words by Zoe sum up the sentiments of the entire family. We celebrated Jessie's life, but we also knew the pain she was in, and therefore we are grateful and comforted that she is now free from that pain, that she can now soar in the afterlife, light, happy, and with that distinctive smile and laughter that we all know. Jessie, if you can hear us, we want you to know we loved you, we cherished you, and above all, we want to thank you. Hamba Gashle, Jessie.